Bernie Sanders was invited on The View to be badgered by the hosts and to be disrespected. So he's still running for president, so he's still going out there and doing these kinds of interviews. Let's see how this one unfolded.
Bernie Sanders answer accusations that he's politicizing the pandemic to push his Medicare for All agenda, and that staying in the race could guarantee Trump another term. He's live on The View. Next.
This question now, because I've been watching to see what you were going to do, and I'm told that you intend to stay in this race for president because you believe there is a path to victory. I want to know what that path is, because this feels a little bit like it did when you didn't come out when Hillary Clinton was clearly the person folks were going for. So can you explain why you're still in the race and what this path is that you see?
One of the reasons, but that's not quite accurate. I worked as hard as I could to for Hillary Clinton. But the reason there is a path
Bernie, just so we're clear, you worked for Hillary, but it took you a very, very long time to hop in, and your people also. It took a very long time for them to hop in. So when I say that, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, I don't accept that characterization, but the point is, people have a right.
Why are you still in the race?
People have a right. Last I heard, people in a democracy have a right to vote, and they have a right to vote for the agenda that they think can work for America, especially in this very, very difficult moment. We are assessing our campaign, as a matter of fact, where we want to go forward. But people in a democracy do have a right to vote. And right now, in this unprecedented moment in American history, I think we need to have a very serious discussion about how we go forward. And one of the things that I am working on with other members of the Senate and Congress is a new stimulus package, which not only makes sure that all of our people in this crisis have health care, but also that they continue to receive their paycheck. We have got to understand where we are at. And right now is April 1st. It is likely possible there are millions of people who cannot pay their rent, cannot pay their mortgage.
Yes. But wouldn't it be smarter for you to continue on that path to make sure that gets done?
Well, we are doing it. Believe me, I am doing it. Our nature of I'm sitting in my house right now. I'm not holding a rally in Wisconsin because of the nature of campaigns. But right now, what I am primarily focusing on with other members of the Congress is a new what we call a coronavirus 4 stimulus package, which will guarantee that every worker in America continues to receive his or her paycheck, that states and cities get the kind of revenue they need to maintain their payroll and take care of the work that they have got to do. What I am very worried about
so your plan
is
to
that people
stay
cannot
in,
afford
yes?
Well,
your plan
I
is
just
to
said that we are well, for the fourth time.
You're assessing.
We are assessing.
Okay. All right.
Oh, that was hard to watch. That was really hard to watch. If I was Bernie and I'm asked, hey, why are you staying in? I would answer, well, Whoopi, my opponent can barely speak in full sentences, and I'm the only candidate in the race pushing for health care for every single American, so that's why I'm staying in. I'm the only candidate pushing for universal health care during a pandemic. During a pandemic. People are getting bills for $30,000 because they had the Rona. I'm the only candidate who says the government should pay that tab. So actually, to be fair to Biden, he has tweeted, as Kamala and many other corporate Democrats have, that testing and treatment for coronavirus should be free. Good. Now, have any of the Democrats in a position of power proposed a bill on that front? No. What's the strongest we've gotten so far? Oh, testing should be free, but there's also loopholes, so some people are getting charged for the tests. And if you buy into that logic that, come on, man, this is This is a health issue. It came out of the blue. People can't afford this stuff. Of course it should be covered. Correct. It's the exact same thing for cancer. It's the exact same thing for stroke. It's the exact same thing for, other viruses and diseases. Some kind of surgery, you break a bone. Nobody expects to break a hip on a casual Tuesday morning, but sometimes it happens. So if you understand the logic of paying for coronavirus testing and treatment, you have to go that next step and say, well, we need a single-payer Medicare for all system, and healthcare should be taken off the table for citizens in a civilized society. It's not that difficult. But Bernie Sanders is running against a guy, Donald Trump, where I think it's 7 to 9 million people lost their health insurance in his first term in office. 7 to 9 million people lost their health insurance under Trump. And then you have Biden, who openly admits, it's on his own website, that 97% of the country is going to be covered under his healthcare plan, which means the 10 million are uninsured. That's not something to brag about. But nonetheless, Biden does brag about that. So yes, Whoopi, the reason why he's running is because he's the only serious person when it comes to policy. And people desperately need that support. People desperately need that help. So if I was Bernie, I would have been, and this is the thing about Bernie, and I love him to death, everybody knows that, but you're going into a hostile interview here, and it is hostile. And Bernie does this thing where he just acts like a hostile interview is not hostile. He just treats people like they're not being incredibly disrespectful to him. So, I almost want to start a petition. Let's treat enemies as enemies. And you got somebody in Bernie Sanders who has no problem at all standing up to Big Pharma and the military-industrial complex and the for-profit health insurance companies and Wall Street and the so-called defense contractors who are really offense contractors, so the military-industrial complex. He has no problem standing up to those people, no problem standing up to Republican leadership, but he draws a line when it comes to the media and when it comes to Democratic leadership. Somebody made a good point the other day. As much as Bernie talks about, being an outsider in political revolution and taking on the Democratic establishment, can anybody give me details of a specific case in which he took on Chuck Schumer? I'll wait. You're going to have a hard time finding it. I'm not sure it even exists. So we need to start treating enemies as enemies. We need to start drawing lines in the sand. Because I got news for you, when it comes to Congress, they have a 22% approval rating. Nobody likes them. When it comes to the media, only 13% of Americans have a great deal of trust in the media. Only 41% have any positive view at all on the media. So these people are universally despised. People understand on some level that we're dealing with corruption here. And they're not representing you, and they're not painting an accurate picture of the world. So, given that those are the facts, Bernie, draw some lines in the sand. Throw some weight around, and he's going into a hostile interview, and he's treating them like they're not hostile. And stop and think about this. Bernie Sanders is being treated worse by the media when he's the only candidate pushing for universal health care during a pandemic than Biden, and Biden was just accused of sexual assault. Now, listen, this is what these people say. The Hollywood liberal types, they're all about the #MeToo, believe all women. And then the second there's an accusation against somebody who they like, they draw a line and they act like Tara Reid doesn't even exist. So think about that. It's seriously the case that Biden's out there doing interviews. He hasn't gotten a single question about the sexual assault. Not a single one. Bernie's out there doing interviews because he wants to help people. He's raising money for coronavirus relief, and he's getting treated like he was just caught being the sexual assaulter. Isn't that crazy? He's out there fighting for people, and they're treating him like he's the sexual assaulter. And then the actual sexual assaulter, they don't even ask a question about the sexual assault. So, what Bernie really should have done, and he wouldn't do this, and I understand that, and it's just not in him. It's just not who he is, but why am I running for office? Let's see. Well, perhaps I'm the only person left in the race who isn't a war criminal, who isn't corrupt, and who hasn't been accused of sexual assault. Maybe that's why I'm still in the race. So, this is sort of like a Bernie Unchained type situation in which I would love to see, but he ain't going to do it. And that drives me crazy. And here's the thing, guys. As much as I love Bernie, it has to be said. The way that he handles the media and the way that he handles the establishment Democrats and the way that he refused to go for Biden's jugular, that is disrespectful to every working man and woman who's struggling to get by, who donated their hard-earned money to Bernie Sanders. They gave it to him with the understanding that he would do everything he could in his power to win. And he really didn't go for the jugular. He refused to call Biden corrupt. In fact, he had a fight with one of his own surrogates, Zephyr Teachout and David Sirota, when they were trying to push that narrative, because it's true, Biden is corrupt. He said, no, we're not going to do that. He never made the electability case and compared Biden to Hillary Clinton or compared Biden to John Kerry. He never said the words, Joe Biden can't beat Trump, which he absolutely had to do if he wanted to have a chance at winning. He had to do it. I'm the electable one. Joe Biden's not. Never did it. And now he's out there raising money for coronavirus relief, doing the right thing, the only candidate pushing for universal health care during a pandemic. And he's treated like he just came out for pedophilia or something, as the media gives Biden a pass all day long. So I love how they start that out. There's accusations that Bernie is politicizing the pandemic. Politicizing the pandemic. I got news for you. The pandemic is inherently political. Everything is inherently political. You know how we know it's political? I don't know. Donald Trump cut the pandemic response team in 2018. The experts on pandemics, he fired them in 2018. We didn't have enough ventilators because of government corruption and monopoly power. We don't have enough masks. All of our supply lines go to China, which shouldn't be the case. We should be manufacturing a lot of this stuff here. So, yeah, this is a healthcare crisis, and Bernie is the healthcare candidate. So, yes, oh my God, he's pushing Medicare for all. He's politicizing the pandemic. A pandemic is inherently political, and the answer is universal healthcare and preparedness. Then they say, is he going to hand Trump a second term? I love how it's never the fault of corporate Democrats when they lose, ever. Ever. They have a boatload of rationalizations. And just like with Hillary Clinton, I don't know, blame James Comey, blame Russia, blame sexism, blame racism, and go down the list of everybody and everything that they blame. And the very last thing on the list is Hillary Clinton. In this instance, they're already doing it for Biden. They're already doing it. Is Bernie going to hand Trump a second term? What evidence is there, even if Bernie stays in, what evidence is there that hurts Trump? Because I got news for you. Trump, on the Republican side in 2016, they had a vicious primary. Vicious. And Trump still won. I mean, go back and watch what Trump was saying about Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz and what Ted Cruz was saying about Trump and Marco Rubio and all of them. They were vicious. They were at each other's throats. And Trump still won. So perhaps the idea that a tough primary hurts you in the general, that's not true. If anything, it could strengthen you. It's like the idea of working out to get stronger. Yeah, you got to break a sweat. Yeah, you got to work in order to get stronger. Same thing. Oh, Biden wants to win in the general. You got to work in the primary. You got to work. You got to challenge yourself. So this idea, I told you, no matter what, they're going to blame it on Bernie. They're going to blame it on the left. If Biden wins, they're going to give no credit to Bernie and no credit to the left. If Biden loses, they're going to put all the blame on Bernie and all the blame on the left. So this is the way the system works, and this is why a lot of people are checking out and saying, I'm done. I'm not going to bother with this anymore. I'm not going to bother with this. And the other thing is the default assumption, like you have to support Biden. Why? Biden's a neoliberal corporatist. A lot of Bernie supporters, 15%, are leftists. Leftists look at you and say, I simply don't agree with neoliberal corporatism. So don't ask for my vote because I don't agree with you. If you're not going to fight for any of the things I care about, Medicare for all, free college, living wage, and the war's Green New Deal, if you're not going to fight for any of that stuff, then www.goaway.net. So it's so annoying. When they ask him, why aren't you dropping out? Imagine if he flipped it back on them. Here's my question for you. I was 3 for 3 after Nevada. Why didn't Biden drop out and endorse me and support me? I was 3 for 3 and I had a blowout win in Nevada. Why didn't Biden drop out? Oh, see, when that was the case, Whoopi and everybody else on the corporate Democratic side thought, what do you mean it's democracy? I can stay in as long as I want. It's democracy. It's how this works. But when Bernie's behind, drop out already. What are you doing? Helping Trump? It's unbelievable. And you already heard me say this, but I'll just remind everybody. Bernie Sanders is using his position to raise millions of dollars for coronavirus relief. Bernie Sanders is also using his position to push for the radical measures, which aren't really so radical, that we need. He's been, since like March 23rd, he's been pushing, we need a rent freeze, we need a mortgage freeze, all the big bill payments, got to freeze them. Bernie was out there saying, I don't just want the $1,200 one-time payment, I want a recurring $2,000 payment per month, a UBI, for the duration of the crisis. That's what he was doing. He was out there using his profile and he was able to get this in the bill. He didn't write the provision, but nonetheless, he helped get it in the bill because the Republicans were objecting to it. But this up to $75,000, you get full unemployment benefits if you were making up to $75,000. That didn't used to be the case. But now, a lot of people are getting laid off. If you made up to $75,000, you get full unemployment benefits for, I think, at least 4 months. So he's using his position for good. There's no doubt about that. So it's super obnoxious when you have people like on The View where there's no specific policy questions. There's nothing that goes into universal basic income or rent freeze or mortgage freeze or general strike or expanded unemployment insurance or Medicare for all, and how the system is untenable the way it is. The system Biden supports is untenable. He's okay with people getting their insurance through their employer. Okay, well, 6.1 million people just signed up for unemployment. 6.1 million. So 6.1 million people lost their health insurance or thereabouts. Do you see the problem now, Whoopi? Why are you not using your power and influence in your position and your hundreds of thousands or millions of viewers? Why are you not using it to educate? Instead, you're viciously smearing and disrespecting the one candidate in the race who would bring about real change. I think that says a lot about you.